Okay, we need to talk about FaceIt. I need to get on the ball on this. I can't get on the ball since I'm 3 weeks behind, and I've done like 5 different recordings trying to do this. Trying to talk about the subject, but we need to talk about FaceIt. And you can see I have YouTube pulled up. I looked up FaceIt casual and have all these videos. FaceIt is in alternate casual mode. FaceIt isn't casual. Thoughts on Jesus's thoughts on FaceIt. FaceIt does not understand casual TF2. Jesus's is like that. He made a second video, but in my opinion, I've watched both. The second video is basically the first video, with the added conspiracy of FaceIt's gonna steal your data because they're a big tech company. And let me just show you something. Here, terms and conditions. Scroll down. I believe there is a search privacy. Oh, I spelled it wrong, but it got me there anyway. Privacy policy. The site will not intentionally disclose any personally identifying information about you, including information submitted through application form, just some sort of HTML form, your social security number, email addresses, blah, 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 to third parties without consent to the site. And then there's the acceptance of the prize constitutes as consent. That's probably because they need to send you, because they have physical prizes. If you open up the shop and go to hardware, you can buy a computer, and they need to ship that to you through UPS. They need your address, your name. They need your name and address, and probably your credit card information. If they didn't have that in there, they'd send it off to UPS. You'd go up to them and say, "Hey, you sent it to my personal information to a third party, UPS. I'm suing you now." Okay. And if you look at, and then you can also go to their privacy. Here's what we store from you. By the way, we're just storing it. We cannot give it to any other person. We're storing it internally. And then if we get, and then there's extra information. Let me look. Data sharing. They only share it between people, so if someone goes... Well, the only issue here is that if someone goes rogue and decides to dox you, if an employee goes rogue and decides to dox all the TF2 players, that'd be pretty bad. But, yeah, they can't disclose your personal information to third parties. We keep information confidential, but may disclose it to any member of our group, which is... kind of have to. They're working with see if they're working with competitive people. They also have, someone has to see your personal information if they're going to send it to UPS or whatever your mailing system is, whoever your whoever handles your packages if you're not in the US. Or not with UPS, but... And then... These guys are under company policy, I'm guessing, to safeguard your information and do not share it. If they send it out there, they're getting up on their... they're gonna have to put in their resume, "Oh yeah, I was fired from FaceIt." Oh, okay, do you have references? Okay, here's FaceIt's company policy. Oh yeah, hello? Yeah, this guy says he was in your company. What happened to him? Oh yeah, he leaked all the guy's personal information? What the fuck? Okay, we're not hiring this guy. Yeah, that's why. And then if we get merged or an acquisition, check your email. If they're getting bought out by Microsoft or Mark Zuckerberg, that's when you say, yeah, I'm not in this game, I'm not doing this anymore. And then they have stuff about cookies and basically, if you link your Facebook account, Facebook isn't, their Facebook cookie might not, shouldn't leak your personal information through your FaceIt account. Instead, it's going to leak it on Facebook, although they do it anyway. So who cares? I mean, well, everyone cares, but it's like open secret. Everyone knows. So you either just don't make a Facebook account like me, and then if you're posting suicidal threats through your posts, they're liable to contact law enforcement, and that's the second reason why they would share your personal information. You can opt out of their promotions. You can also ask for any information they have about you on file. So yeah, read the goddamn privacy policy, please, before you make conspiracy theories. You have recourse. Yeah, this could have been solved if you read. This wouldn't be an issue that people would be talking about if you read the goddamn text on their company site. Please, just read. There's a meme I'm reminded of. Yeah, it's anime, so it doesn't matter. So, yeah, read, please. Do your research, read. Don't build conspiracy theories. That end of story. No, don't. If you're seeing this video and you're going to comment about big tech before you even get through the first minute, I'm ignoring your comment. That's it. This is all here. You can read it. If you still see all these things that you're allowed to do and say, this still looks shady, I'm not going to sign up to FaceIt, good. If you read this and say, well, I don't really, this doesn't look super shady, if you look at this and say, I still don't want them to have this data, even if they're not going to share it, good on you. That's a-okay. You're actually, that's good on you. Yes, you can do that. That's a valid opinion. If you look at this and say, this data isn't too important to me, I use aliases, I do all this other stuff, good on you. That's also a valid opinion. Continue playing FaceIt if you want to. There are other issues with FaceIt. But if you're going to talk about big tech conspiracy, read this. Stop talking about it. Read. I'm going to tell you to read. Okay, now that that's over and we're done with Zesty Jesus' video 2 conspiracy, we're going to talk about this thing. Or, well, this line that I see. I don't want to play these videos because that would be me stealing someone else's content. I will maybe go through and timestamp. You can see I didn't watch the entire. I think I watched the entirety of the PVN's video and then rewatched it again, and it resets that bar. I don't quite remember. Maybe I didn't watch it. I don't know. But I've seen. So I'm not going to talk about this video because I haven't watched it. But I'm going to talk about people who say this instead. FaceIt doesn't understand casual, is not casual. And the problem with that statement is that they're saying it's not casual. And then I don't know what they mean. What is casual to you? Somebody said, oh, it's Oh, it's being able. I think one of the things is it's being able to like freely join games. Back before Meet Your Match when you could, queue. There's quick play. You queue up for a game, and you get this. You you just get in, and you could switch teams, switch classes, join spectators if you had a suspected cheater. Uh, Look them over and say, oh, that's a cheater, oh, that's not a cheater. Kick them, don't kick them. Yeah, that was pretty much it. It was pretty much the golden age of TF2 matchmaking, I would say. I still have a few fond memories of that age, back when I was not as good as the game and didn't have a deeper understanding of the flaws this game has and the fixes and more flaws that have been introduced by those fixes, but I feel no, even though like that was casual, you can freely join games. That's not in TF2 anymore either. I guess what people wanted was pre-meet your match, no, it wasn't. No, yeah, it was pre-meet your match matchmaking, and they didn't get it through. So, yeah, what people were, I'm getting off track, but yeah, what people were thinking, so the only things I've heard that this is casual, this is TF2 casual, is no incentive to win, no there's the ability to freely join and join and leave games. And then I think those are really the only two. I'm going to cover freely leaving and joining games first, because this one's a little bit easier. I've thought through it a little bit more. I think originally I didn't have this issue until Meet Your Match. But pre-Meet Your Match, it felt like a lot of people in quick play, you'd just queue for a game. You'd get people who'd come in, they'd stay on a losing game. Like, even if you lost, nobody would leave. They just keep playing, I like playing with these people, so I'm going to stay and play with these people. Meet Your Match, you lose, half your team leaves, and either people queue and you get 6 people attempting to join as you lose the final round and the map turns over, or the map vote goes up, meaning that you either joined a game that's about to switch maps, maybe to a map you didn't like. This phone's going off. I'm hearing it. Or you're joining a game into a server that's about to close, because this server has been doing like 10 or however many matches, and it's just gonna shut off and be like, oh, bye, you joined the game. And even when the map switches, you're going to be joining into a game that's going to have like 4 people in it for the first 5 minutes, and then the only time the game gets good is in the last round, when that's the real frustration of Meet Your Match. Post Meet Your Match TF2 is that you'll get games where you'll lose, where you'll get rolled, and then people just leave. It's like people are saying TF2 is being able to freely leave and join, but that's a double-edged sword. You're gonna get games where people are just leave. And you're going to be stuck on a team that's unable to really defend until either some sort of auto balance happens, which when I've been playing casual, it feels like auto balance just takes a while to kick in versus pre-meet your match where it felt like it was a little bit faster. I don't know if I can't verify that, so take it with a grain of salt, but it's like you can't having people be able to switch no having people be able to freely leave FaceIt matches would just create a big problem. It'd just be TF2 casual, but instead of you having 6 players, it's now you having 6 players and plus 6 bots. And we FaceIt has people leaving, but it's usually like 1 or 2 people. It's never a huge amount of people because you have to stay, because sometimes some of the ladders, not all of them, will give you points even if you lose, and you have a leave penalty. And people saying that's casual, but that, to me, that's not casual. That's ruining casual. I want to play with people, and even when I'm losing, I want to have 12 stack people. When we lose, we go in and say, you know what, we lost. Let's change up some things. Let's talk. Talk on voice chat and text chat, something like that. Maybe we'll just do something stupid, since we're never gonna get rolled. Go all Trojan, don't push the cart. Just try to market garden people, or go all heavy, or heavy medic double split and just push the cart. I don't get that in casual TF2 vanilla casual. I got that once in FaceIt casual. So already that's a point for FaceIt casual. FaceIt casual is more casual than TF2 because people are actually encouraged to communicate. And then what was the second one? TF2 casual does not need an incentive to win. And that confuses the hell out of me, because the game has objectives, and when you lose, you go into a humiliation stance, and the enemy team gets free crits, and they get to kill you and then taunt you afterwards for free, no risk. There's already things in TF2 that encourage you not to lose. If you're on the losing team, getting that humiliation end of round mode, getting critted and killed is going to feel bad for you losing. If you're on the winning team, you're gonna get more chances to earn more points, and you're gonna rank up your badge more. Stopwatch. I don't think stopwatch really makes it immediately competitive. It's more of the player count that really makes TF2 casual, not casual. So so like when you're 12 versus 12, you can have 3 people carrying your entire team, and then 9 other people just doing whatever. Both on FaceIt and vanilla casual. You're not... The impact of one person doing something stupid in FaceIt casual is equal to one person doing something stupid in TF2 casual. And if someone comes up to you and says, hey, you're one person not doing how do I say this, but in a, like, there's not, you don't need to be pressured. And if someone's pressuring you, just say, hey, it's casual, stop. This is 12 versus 12. If we're losing, it's because, it's not because of, hey, it's casual, I want to have fun. I don't want to play for points, really. And the way FaceIt is designed, winning earns you points, not earning points earns you more points. Earning points in TF2 doesn't earn you more points. So, saying that TF2 casual is basically no risk, TF2 no risk from losing or winning is a little bit weird. You'd always have those people who are like want you to win, really try harding, and that's more against the design of the game than anything else. The rewards for winning and losing are built into the game more so than really FaceIt adding stopwatch. I actually like stopwatch because when you get rolled, you're not having to push for 6 minutes for the full round timer. Instead, you're just getting 4 minutes and you can requeue instantly. It's 2 less minutes out of my time to get rolled. And depending on how many rolls there are, it kind of compounds into even less time. The way if I've interacted with stopwatches, if I know I'm on the losing team, I'm going to say, well, let's just try to get the first point. And to me, that's a victory. That's a win. Even though I didn't win the game, I won a goal. Like, you see the issue here? People aren't how they're interacting with FaceIt isn't goal. They're looking at the macro goal of I need to win the game. They're not looking at the minor goals of I need to cap this point, I need to cap this point, I need to cap this point. They're looking at, oh, look at the stopwatch timer, look how many points we need to get. Our team sucks. Wow, we're losing. This macro goal looks hopeless. And they're not going into the game thinking, we're weaker than them, but let's try to get smaller victories so that I still feel good about losing. Like, I understand FaceIt is more oriented towards winning, but you don't have to, when you see the stopwatch, you don't have to say, oh, I have to win. You can look at the stopwatch as a series of goals you can achieve. FaceIt encourages you to be a little bit more competitive, but it's your choice whether to be more competitive or not. It's a mindset that you're not forced into. You don't have to force yourself to not have fun because there's a stopwatch. Am I getting this? I don't think I'm really explaining this well, but you don't have to be like, if there's a stopwatch, I have to win. It's a mindset, not I have to. A stopwatch doesn't make it immediately competitive. I think that's what I mean. I'm not quite sure myself. You don't have to win if you think you don't have to think you need to win if those things are set up. And a lot of people, some other people are saying, oh, it's because there's rewards. The reason I don't like TF2 Casual is because there are no rewards. You get a badge that ranks up, and it's purely cosmetic. You maybe open tab and see, oh, this guy has tier, what's the highest tier someone's gotten? Like tier 10, something like that, tier 20? I don't know. I don't know. I don't play TF2 Casual that often. I have like tier 1, level 50 or something. It's not tier 0, it's like, yeah. No, is it tier 2? Is it tier 1 then tier 2? I don't remember. I know one of the videos was talking about, oh, you can see rankings to compare yourself to. I could compare myself by looking at the badges. The badges rank up based on how many points you get, and the higher your badge, it either means you've been playing for a long time, or you've played so hard you got billions of points, billions of EXP, and you're probably a good player. So there's already systems within vanilla TF2 that are kind of like FaceIt, but yeah, people are complaining about the FaceIt stuff. And people are like, FaceIt isn't casual, and I'm like, who says who? Says you? Says maybe the entirety of the side of the TF2 community who agrees with your opinions and holds them. And that's a fine way of playing TF2. I don't disagree with it. But I have a different view of casual, and FaceIt completes this view, so I want to play it. It feels like people are up in arms, like, no, FaceIt is bad, don't play. Or I don't know. And the problem is they're excluding this other side of the community that I feel like I'm a part of, that wants TF2 Casual that's oriented towards getting people to really talk to each other, I guess. When you're in a more competitive environment, people start, talking. People are like, oh, let's coordinate this push. You also get people who are a bit toxic, like, you're bad. You're all bad. I hate you. Team, but for me, it's like 50-50. To me, TF2 Casual is these experiences that I've had on FaceIt. There were 3 kids. They're all talking to each other. One had some sort of Southeast Asian accent. It's close to Indian, but I wouldn't think he's from India. He's probably somewhere around that region. But calling for half heavy, half medic, split push, and we all went that for once, but then got killed by the Prem sniper who was on the enemy team. They're like 3 kids all talking to each other. Their voice is really high. You could tell they're like maybe 15, 16 years old. No, not 15, 16. What am I talking about? Just very young. Probably shouldn't be playing TF2. Probably shouldn't be playing in a competitive setting either. But they're all talking to each other and saying stuff. There's one guy who was singing the "Mother Loved Me a Long Time" song, and one guy called him out for not called him out, but got mad at him and said he was being racist, and they had a little spat on voice chat. And then I think back when Harvest was in. Is Harvest still in the pool? I have it. Everyone keeps playing. Yeah, Harvest is in, but everyone keeps playing Badwater, Borneo, all the disgusting, overplayed maps. I'm fine with them, but yeah, Badwater, Borneo, Upward, those are all the maps people play. It's only maps people play. I had a game. Yeah, it was Barn Blitz. Even it was back when I had Barn Blitz selected. I don't have it now. That map is pretty awful, but he had Barn Blitz. Some guy was singing that song through his mic, and some guy said, "Hey, you're a racist," and they had a bit of an argument, and other people started piling in. We also had a game where Upward, we got rolled, and one of the guys came on mic and said, "Hey, yeah, these guys are good, but they're not coordinated. Let's coordinate pushes." And then I believe first we coordinated a defensive last and got it to where we needed to cap the third point in, I think, 6 minutes. 6:43, I think. He's like, "Okay, let's coordinate pushes. Let's get these guys down." And these guys were better than us, but we coordinated pushes in such a way that we won by beating the timer. We got third point in under their time, and that was really fun. And that was the most casual thing. I think I also had oh yeah, that's why I was looking at Harvest. I had Harvest game where people just talking on mic and just blabbering into it. I've also encountered some people using soundboards, playing meme songs and using meme sound effects. I don't know what the names of them all are, so I can only talk to them like I'm some old grandpa who just discovered the internet. But that was the most casual thing I've experienced, and those were all FaceIt matches. When I play TF2 casual, no one talks, no one says anything. We're all just trying to get kills, trying to get points, trying to farm the exchanges, and it's okay, but it's really boring. It's tiring. I'd maybe boot up TF2 for 2 days out of a week and then wait 2 months to pick up TF2 again. To me, FaceIt, that communication that's encouraged by FaceIt's competitive atmosphere is the most casual thing you can get out of TF2, because you're not just some lone guy getting cool kills and maybe having wacky encounters with a few people, having friendly, like turning around to a spy who backstabbed your Razorback, and he just hits his no voice line and suicides. You don't get that in FaceIt, but you get that extra community aspect that's not encouraged in casual, because you're all playing a game that could get overrun by bots, have people leave because they lost, and it being immediately unenjoyable because of that. You're instead committed to a match that'll have people around you, that'll have people who, through the punishment, be, I guess, forced. That's not like a good word to choose, but they basically have to play with you, and encourages some level of like talking. Like even if you're in a bad game, you can still have fun because you're meeting with people, you're talking to people, you're interacting with the community, even though the game shouldn't be enjoyable because you're losing, you're still having fun. And I feel people are missing that aspect of FaceIt. They're only looking at hard data, hard numbers, how it rewards this, does that, this is all this. It rewards playing with this, with this amount of points, this amount of thing. Ladders need this amount of points, this win-loss ratio, this amount. And it's all numbers, and they're missing things at the micro level. People talking, people playing, people interacting with each other. I've seen more people talk on FaceIt games than I have in my 3 years of playing Meet Your Match, and it's glorious, I would say. And I get to meet, people who play in comp matches, who play actual competitive TF2. Yeah, I'm starting to lose a little bit of my rant energy, and I still have so much more to go through, but yeah. So, to me, FaceIt is more casual than TF2 casual for those reasons, and I feel like some people are missing that aspect and only looking at, how is it encouraged to win, getting into these data sciences, and those are true, but you're missing some things that if you played games, you paid attention to what's happening, and you'd understand that you're seeing some of that aspect of the community propped up by the system. Yeah. And even then, if you don't like FaceIt, don't play FaceIt. Don't tell people, if you go around telling people you don't know, maybe who are a little bit interested in playing FaceIt, to not play FaceIt because of reasons you don't like it, don't. Each person is very different on how they view TF2, how casual should operate, what they're looking to get out of a match. And if they're dissatisfied with casual and they're not getting what they want out of a match because of all these factors I have discussed, telling them, no, FaceIt sucks because it's not casual, this is a hard criticism, but it's dishonest to an extent. Well, dishonest to that person, because that person may have different ideas of how casual works. This is why we have a community. We have different aspects of how we want to play TF2. This is why we have community servers. You can play versus Saxton Hale. We have different ways we want to play TF2, and having FaceIt is FaceIt casual is casual before those people who wanted a little bit more talking, a little bit more coordination, a little bit more, I don't know, but a little bit more interaction between the players on their team and the enemy team. And I feel as though people are just, people, when they say FaceIt isn't casual, they don't understand that casual is a word that means something differently to each person who plays the game. And that telling people they shouldn't play the game because it's not casual doesn't understand that each person wants something different out of a casual game. And I'm tempted to name this video the TF2 community doesn't understand casual, but that's a pretty mean title. It's not something I'd personally think would be a good title, especially for this video. I'd rather name it something like, I'd rather name it something more benign, but yeah. So all these people complaining about FaceIt, I think, are really approaching it from a subjective standpoint of how they believe TF2 should be casual, and then not thinking about people who might be casual. I've seen some casual players saying, "Oh, they don't understand TF2 community," and I'm like, I'm part of the TF2 community and I love FaceIt. Why are you saying it's not for me when I've played it and it feels just right? Why are you trying to tell me, or at least to some point dictate to me, that I shouldn't be having fun? That's how it feels right now with discussions surrounding FaceIt. People are trying to tell each other you're not having fun, even though they're having fun. They just don't like that someone is having fun in a place where they haven't had fun, if that makes sense. That's just a microcosm of the internet in general. People getting mad at other people for having fun in places where they don't have fun. But that requires some like philosophy major or something. But it's obscuring the real problem with FaceIt, and I'm gonna show you. FaceIt links. TF2. Let me show you the real problem. The real problem is imbalanced matchmaking. And this is what I really wanted to talk about. I ranted about people talking about other people ranting about TF2, FaceIt. But I'm going to get into the meat that's going to be not even a quarter of this, of what I've recorded. But I think this is a problem, because when you need to facilitate all this communicating, you want it to be positive. You want it to feel like people have a chance. And when you get roles, that can be a real problem, because it brings down the mood of the game, brings down the mood of the people on the team who playing the game, and it can even bring down the mood of the people who are on the team that's rolling, because there may be the 3 people who are rolling who are getting all the kills, and the other people who are close to bottom scoring, and they're going to feel bad, like, oh, I can't do anything now. I guess I'm just going to have to wander around and do whatever, I guess. And you try to play sandwich Hoovy and try to give the enemy team a fighting chance. But yeah, this is the real problem. If you look at how these ranks are played, when you're playing up to face melting, the win-loss ratio you need is significantly lower than 50%. Like face melting 1, 2, 3, you only need to win a third of your matches. For the others, you still gain points for losing, and in some cases you don't. In some cases you don't lose any points. In other cases, you only need to win a fifth of your matches. And I think that's a real problem. I played, and the only way I can really express this is through analogy. I played a game called MechWarrior Online, which had to for matchmaking, they had a tier system, and depending on how much damage you dealt, what kind of things you did in game, you couldn't see. You didn't know how it affected it, but you'd gain ranking that was sort of invisible to you. And as you slowly, so if you won a game and did well, like you got, I think 400, 600 damage, maybe even 1,000 damage if you're really good, you'd rank up, you'd get a whole bunch of, I guess, I'm going to call it rank EXP because that's what it is, but you got a whole bunch of rank EXP, and you would get, you'd go up a tier. So lowest tier is 5, but everyone starts at 3. If you get to 5, you're probably a really bad player, like, because of how the system works. But you'd start at tier 3 or tier 4, and you'd go up to either tier. You could go up to tier 1 or down to tier 5. And I believe there was some talk with Russ Bullock, who was director of the game, I think, or developer, I don't remember, but he basically pointed out that the system was basically an EXP system. You'd get to tier 1 regardless of how bad you were. Like, you had to be exceptionally bad to be tier 5, tier 4, and be stuck there. Or even tier 3. You couldn't get stuck, you shouldn't be able to get stuck in tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. And I believe once you achieve a tier, you cannot go down a tier for a certain amount of time. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've played that game. I've had disagreements with publishers and how they choose to balance the game. So I haven't played in a while, but yeah. So basically, their system was EXP system. If you did well in a game that you won, you'd gain a lot of EXP. If you did well in a game you lost, you could basically still go up a tier if you lost and still did well, or there'd be no change if you did pretty okay and lost. So it was basically an EXP system for average players, and average players would get to tier 1 pretty easily. It just took a lot of grinding out games and just playing the game. And this is what this system feels like. You have all these tiers of rankings, but you don't need to be 50-50 loss ratio to keep your rank until you hit server clearing or hail zone. And even though they've increased the number of points you need, it's still going to feel like an EXP system where you're just, basically people are just going to be around these 2 ranks, face melting 1 and server clearing 5, and there's not going to be a lot of, there's not going to be any, this rank right here is just going to be a cesspool. There's not going to be a lot of balanced matches within here because everyone's going to be compressed into these 2 ranks just by virtue of this being an EXP system, and you need a 33% win-loss ratio to break even in this rank. So it's a problem, I believe. And until they correct this ranking system, like, this ranking system is awful. let me get this straight. Unless they have some sort of elo system behind the scenes matching people, and these ranks don't really matter. The only way this would work is if these ranks didn't really matter, they had the elo system they have in the background, because I know if you buy premium, you can see your elo chart, I guess. But yeah. So these ranks are awful. Please change them. This is the real problem with FaceIt right here. These, and this is the reason why you're getting unbalanced matches. If the way the matchmaking works is based around these tiers and not your hidden elo. I think let me see. Let me go to my profile. If you go to stats, yeah, you see this. It's your elo rating. But a lot of these are. This is the big issue with FaceIt currently, as it stands. So it used to be pretty balanced when it was in closed beta because there weren't that many people, and I guess the skill gap was a little bit more compressed because people who were getting in were either in streams of known competitive players, which probably means they have enough knowledge of the game and the community and how to. That show they are more invested in TF2, and thus they got the beta keys, the access, and all those things. I got in because I got randomly selected, but yeah, it felt like there were less 4.5 minute payload rolls, and they were still rolls, but they were closer to like 6-8 minutes. You know, sometimes we'd be able to mount a good defense and hold them off for a little while, but ultimately once the medic got a Uber, our defense collapsed. Then we had to build up for the next point. Repeat the process. It'd still take time, and that's, I feel, the real issue, because when games are short like that, you're not getting as much interactivity with your 12 players as you'd like. And there are still people leaving. I already said that. There's still people leaving, but it's not as much as when casual roles happen. But, yeah. So that's really all I wanted to talk about when it came to FaceIt. Yeah. So please fix tiers. Ignore. So if someone from FaceIt sees this, ignore all the. I'd say ignore all the stuff about it not being casual, because it's a very subjective thing, and if you choose, I know they're planning to implement 12 freely joinable servers, which is good, I'd say. Which is good because it means they can. I'm hoping they're like community servers where you can just join them in through IP, and not like how we have it now. I hope they're 24/7 servers, not servers that just pop up in an instance and then get shut down when the game ends. Yeah, so please look at these. Please look at how your matchmaker works before you make sure your flagship, your 12v12 casual matchmaking is well balanced before you start thinking about expanding. Because if you expand without first having your headline, your foundation, working, it's going to collapse on you, and it's not going to be good. You're going to be another creators.tf story, I guess. So yeah, that's all I really feel like I want to say at the moment.